Welcome to Stormwatch, coming to you from the Palm Beach County Emergency Operations Center. I'm Mary Blakeney. We're first joined by Michael Fox, Code Products and Training Supervisor at Palm Beach County Planning, Zoning, and Building Department, Building Division. Welcome, Michael.
Good morning.
So I'm excited to hear a little bit about actually your role that you play at the Palm Beach County Building Division. Tell us a little bit about your area of expertise.
Well, as the Codes Products Training Supervisor, I monitor codes, help in the interpretation and development of them. As far as products go, we review innovative new products that come on the market. Also make sure that the products that are being used are compliant with codes and standards. And training, we take all of that information and try to distribute it among code professionals.
You know, it brings a really good point because, you know, in emergency management, there was a really big focus in the building arena post Hurricane Andrew. And, you know, the big buzz around was, have you had your home built to Miami-Dade standards post Hurricane Andrew? Tell us a little bit about how the codes changed then and where we are now.
Yes, so after Hurricane Andrew, the state legislature mandated the Florida Building Code be created. It took several years. March 1st of 2002, the first Florida Building Code edition took effect. It's basically a benchmark for code compliance in the county and across the state. So any homes built after that point have a comfort level of being built to the higher standard.
So have those codes remained the same since that point, or do they constantly go through some revisions?
They basically go through a triennial review and update. Historically, the international codes, International Building Code and the whole volume set are kind of a basis for the Florida Building Code. So each code cycle that gets reviewed, and any Florida specific stuff gets put in as well.
So do the local building departments here in Palm Beach County follow the Florida building codes, and are there additional codes at the local level?
So they're required to follow the Florida Building Code. There are some local amendments, but those are basically administrative. There are very few technical amendments allowed anymore to try and maintain uniformity across the state.
So let's talk about those building codes. You know, pre-Hurricane Andrew, you know, there was a lot of talk about the damage that those individuals went through was because the building standards weren't strong enough. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about some of the changes that have been made post-Hurricane Andrew to construction now.
With the Florida Building Code, the product approval program was put into place, and that allows products to be analyzed at the state level for code compliance versus each individual municipality trying to review those. So that was a good standard, and just, you know, enhanced roof-to-wall connections, enhanced nailing of roofs. There were developments of that sort that took place.
So let me ask you, if a resident in our community wasn't aware of, you know, the construction of their home, which we encourage people, first of all, to know your home. Mm-hmm. So if they're unaware of and want to know how their home was constructed, what process would you recommend them to go through, or who should they call to find that information out?
I would say call your local building department and request the record set of plans from when the home was built. The older it is, the less, you know, quality those plans are going to be, but it'll give you a good idea of what, you know, what the construction is. As you enter the 2000s, there should be product approvals and product standards referenced in those, and that will give you a comfort level of the construction.
So if we have members in our community that maybe have a home built prior to those standards, you know, is it a recommendation of our local building department that these people begin to maybe make some modifications, repairs, mitigate their home? And if so, what would you say are some of the best mitigation efforts that somebody could take on their home today?
So I would start with the hurricane shutters. Basically, windborne debris protection is a requirement in the code. Since 2002. You would want to check your records to make sure that the product is compliant. So it would have a product approval, either a Miami-Dade NOA, Notice of Acceptance, or a Florida Building, one through the state, which would have an FL number. So I would start with that. As far as the age of the roof, check that. You could always have a home inspector come in and do, an analysis of your roof-to-wall connections. I would keep in mind with the home inspectors that the code is a minimum for safety and welfare of the public. But when they do inspections, they tend to go more quality-based. So sometimes their reports can make it look like your home wasn't built to, the standards, but, depending on the year it was built, you can have a comfort level there.
Well, Michael, thank you for all the information you provided today. I think it gives really good insight into how people can prepare their home in the off-season. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
We'll be right back with more Stormwatch.
Being prepared is a part of who you are, but it's especially important in the case of a disaster. Be informed about possible emergencies in your area. Make a plan that covers where you'll go in an emergency. Build a kit with the things you need to survive. There's no one more capable of planning for your situation than you. Start your plan today. Go to ready.gov/myplan.
Welcome back to Stormwatch. We're now joined by Jonathan Brown, Director of Palm Beach County's Department of Housing and Economic Development. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad to have you here. We just got done talking to Michael Fox of the Building Division about things individuals can do to prepare their home for hurricane season and mitigation efforts. Tell us a little bit. I believe there's some programs in your department that can assist our residents.
We do. The county offers a number of different housing programs for owner-occupied housing units. So if you own your home, there are a number of things we can do. I always share with people, start with having some sort of home maintenance plan of your own, where you can go around your home and periodically just kind of take some looks at the condition of your home. We take a lot of care in what we do on the inside of our homes, but we don't realize that although we live in paradise, we have challenging weather conditions, and we should also look at the exterior of our homes, including a lot of the trees and things that are in our yards that could impact our homes. And once you've assessed those things, then you'll have a better idea of really what you believe you need. From there, we come in with one of three different programs. We typically would start with an emergency repair program. Fun program, it's really just kind of a spot repair program, meaning that if you only need a roof, then we'll come in and we'll assess the roof and we'll help you with the roof. If you only need windows or doors, we'll come in, we'll assess the condition of your windows and doors, and then we'll come in and provide assistance for that. If emergency repair isn't what you need, then we'll look at our rehab program. Now, rehab program, I like to tell everyone that it is not extreme makeover. It's not that you get everything you want. We really try to address a few things in our rehab program. That's code issues, that's life, health, safety issues, as well as hurricane hardening. A lot of the residents over the past few years have really taken advantage of our substantial rehab program, where we have either repaired or replaced roofs. We have provided either hurricane shutters or impact windows. Again, impact doors, replacing siding on homes that may have been damaged. So there are a lot of things that go into that particular program in order to help people mitigate and prepare for the mitigation needed for their homes during the storm season.
Well, this is great information. So these programs, are they income-based, or tell us about, individuals qualifying?
The county is very fortunate in that we have a great relationship with the state and the federal government. So a lot of our programs are either funded through state programs, federal programs, and then the county also provides assistance. And so as a result, the programs are income-based. And typically, people ask, well, how much can I make? And I'll use the standard. If you're a household of 4 people, then the max income that you can make is about $119,000. If you're at that level or below, then you could apply for our programs. under a couple of conditions. One of which is when the state and federal government look at our programs, there are also maximum limits that your house can be valued at. Again, because these programs are designed to address the affordable community, the workforce housing community. And so if your home exceeds a value of $352,000, then these programs aren't necessarily the programs for you. The other caveat is that in addition to the county being a recipient of state and federal funds, we also have a few cities that are recipients of those funds. And so if you live in Boca, Boynton, Delray, or West Palm, you start your request with them first, and everyone else, the other municipalities, can come directly to the county for help.
Well, this is great information. So let's talk a little bit about what you've seen in your department has been the most need in our county. What should people really be looking at? Is it those roofs or those windows? What do you see?
It's a combination. It's definitely the roofs. It's definitely the windows and doors. Those are typically the bigger needs. Once we have addressed those issues, one of the things that we like to do is also kind of a 4-point inspection. And so that way we can not only improve the quality of your house, but we can help reduce your insurance costs. And so we're seeing a lot of the roofs, we're seeing a lot of the windows and doors. Depending on the time, and I encourage everyone, once you've made that assessment of your home and you know you need help, contact us. Because once, depending on the season when we're ordering those things or our contractors are ordering those materials, you can have some sort of delay or back order on ordering those materials. So I encourage everyone, start the process early, allow us to assess your home, to get in there with you, and make the needs that you need to help you through the storm season.
So will people have to pay the county back, or is this a grant to the homeowner?
Great question. And so for the most part, our programs are called, we provide what's called a forgivable loan. And so as the county provides assistance, you have a certain number of years that you stay in the home. If you stay in the home for 15 years, and I'll use that for our rehab program, if you live in that home for 15 years, then it's a forgivable loan. We forgive it at the 15-year period. If you decide, for whatever reason, that you need to sell and move, you can absolutely sell and move. We'll ask you to repay whatever the county provided, and then we'll go out and help another family in need of that same rehab, that you benefited from.
Well, this is all great information. To wrap it up, what would you want to share with our residents about your programs, your department that maybe they're not aware of?
Contact us. Let us help you. Take a look at a visible inspection of your home. See what the needs are prior to the storms coming, so that way we can get in and we can get the homes completed and done. Our goal really is to ensure that the affordable workforce housing community are not in the box stores trying to buy supplies and materials during the storm season. We really want to make sure we harden their home before then. These programs have benefited thousands of residents throughout the county, and we will continue to do that. Take advantage of this. This is why the programs are here, and allow us to harden your home, bring it up to current code, so you can live at least with the peace of mind that your home is safe for you.
Great information, Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back with more Storm Watch.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
Let's go.
you'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza. Yes.
Make a plan today.
Welcome back to Storm Watch. I'm now joined by Megan Houston, Director of the Palm Beach County Office of Resiliency. Welcome, Megan.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you here. You know, we've had a great show talking to experts in the county about how people can be more prepared heading into next hurricane season and how to make their homes more resilient. And this is a perfect segue into information that your office has for individuals. So let's talk about what some of our residents can do to their homes to make them more resilient.
Sure. Now is a good time to think about energy efficiency. So one big advantage of energy efficiency measures is that as we're going through storm season, if you do have a power outage, energy efficiency measures can help increase the comfort of your home, and so it can stay a little bit cooler while you're waiting for your power to come back on, or it can help reduce the overall load, so the backup power supply that you might have might be working a little bit smoother to make your quality of life a little bit better. So energy efficiency measures can range from anything like swapping out your light bulbs. If you still have incandescent, or if you have CFLs, you can find LED fixtures at any home improvement store, and that can make a big difference with your electricity bills, cutting things down. You can look at attic insulation and insulation overall through your house. That's a really big deal in Florida, to try and make it it helps keep the cool air in, and so your overall home and comfort will be improved, and you can see your bills start to lower from all of these different kind of measures. So anything from installing programmable thermostats to checking your water heater and setting it at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, things like that. There are lots of tips out there to try and figure out ways to help save you money on your utility bills.
So you bring up some really good points, because as we were talking to the building division about how people can mitigate their construction of their home, and then we led to programs that can help people mitigate their home. You're focusing on the energy efficiency and in those areas of resiliency. So how can they check if their home could really be more energy efficient? Do they call an expert? How do they approach that?
Yeah, so everyone should have access to their utility bills. A lot of the utility companies have online portals now where you can compare and just start with your own self-assessment. Like if you're reviewing your budget, it's the same way. Look at your energy consumption, and you look for peaks and trends. So you can compare June 2020 to June 2021 and see if there's any kind of change. Maybe you have something not working right, or you can also take your energy bills and then compare that to the Department of Energy. The federal government has a website where you can compare your utility bills with a typical home, so you can see, oh, I'm a high performing home, or I'm a low performing home, and that can give you a good indicator of whether you should be starting to look more seriously at the energy performance of your home. So starting with your own self-assessment, if you want to pursue more, you can contact your utility provider, and see if they have programs to come out. You can hire a professional like an energy auditor or even an HVAC expert who can come and look and assess whether there are kind of tailored improvements that they might make and recommend for your homes. Our Palm Beach County Library System has an amazing resource of home audit and energy audit and sustainable energy efficiency books and resources. Our Office of Resilience website has some tips on what people can do for their homes. So there's a lot of resources out there.
So let's talk about, in your conversations and in your work with the Office of Resiliency, what are you seeing that maybe homeowners are overlooking? What is the most overlooked item that maybe can help them in this area? Is it the water heater? Is it the HVAC system? What areas do you see are the big areas to really focus on first?
Yeah, I think the easy things are the things that people see, like your appliances and your light bulbs, and switching those out. The insulation I mentioned is really important, and people don't see that. They don't look at it. So you might not have ever peeked in your attic to see if it's installed correctly, where that air conditioning is happening. You want to make sure there's a continuous layer of insulation all around. So that sometimes you never think about. You're not peeking behind your walls. So that's where you might want to look at getting an expert in who can help and see if you need more, or if you need to reinstall that. So I'd say insulation is one of the most overlooked aspects of energy efficiency, and one of the most really important components of making sure your home is performing adequately.
So if there are areas that individuals have recognized that maybe they need to be more energy efficient, are there programs out there to help people maybe rehab their homes? We talked to Jonathan Brown earlier about roofing and windows and doors, but are there programs for lighting and water heaters and things like that?
Yeah, I would start with what Jonathan had talked about through the county. Depending on your municipality or city, there might be rebates there for doing some of those measures. Sometimes utility programs have things, and then there are financing programs out there too in the private sector who can help. So different options there on how to finance and pay for that.
So, and as we wrap it up here with you today, let's talk a little bit or share with us, what is your number one tip for our residents in Palm Beach County to be more resilient?
I mean, everything is going to be a personal decision on what's cost effective for you. So if I'm looking at my HVAC system, my air conditioning unit, and it's broken or whatever, and I need to upgrade it, you know, that might be where I'm about ready to choose a more efficient option. But if your system is new, you know, it might not be the right time. So I guess the number one tip is you have to figure out what is cost effective for you, what are your priorities within your house, and use resources out there to make your own judgment on what you need to be focusing on.
Oh, it's all great information. Thank you so much for joining us today, Megan.
Sure, thank you for having me.
We'll be right back with more Stormwatch.
Floridians are fighting back.
We are coming together to do our part.
Getting a vaccine can protect not only you, but your loved ones too.
It's easy,
It's safe.
and it's effective.
It doesn't matter where you live.
or what you do for a living.
If you are eligible to receive a vaccine, there's a vaccine available for you.
As we get back to normal,
Let's do this together.
Welcome back to Stormwatch. We're now joined by Robert Norberg, President of Arden Insurance. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. This is a great program.
We're so excited to have you here. You know, we've been focusing the whole program on what people can do outside of hurricane season to prepare for the next season. So let's talk a little bit about insurance. And I'd really love to hear from you some of the things you've seen as an agent that maybe people should be doing right now today to prepare for the next storm season.
Well, being a Florida resident, you should be preparing year-round. It's not just outside of season, but you should look at things that can help mitigate your home's damage against any future hurricane or wind events. Because being in Florida, it is a year-round process. We have wind events throughout the year as well as flooding events. And two critical insurance pieces there fall into place.
So let's talk about those insurance pieces because, you know, we've often seen that after a storm, individuals are either underinsured or uninsured. So talk a little bit about those concerns.
Yeah, the concern is that you're properly insured going into the season, so you should review your policy, talk to your agent at least once a year, if not more, to find out the things that you might be missing. Because a lot of policies exclude certain damages like water damage and things like that. So you want to find out to make sure you can help offset those things some way possible so you're not stuck at the end of the season or in a claim situation.
So let's talk about damage to an individual's home and let's talk about the difference between insurance coverage and for your home and then flood insurance. So tell our viewers a little bit about the difference there.
Yeah, your standard homeowners policies types do not cover flooding of any type. And flooding is really simple. It's water rising up from the outside coming into your house, okay? So flooding is very simple to understand. But a lot of times during a storm, people think that the rain that is dropped and accumulates is caused by the windstorm, which is covered under most policies. But it's not. It's a flood event. There's kind of a gray line between the two damages. And what we've seen historically, a lot of the damage is done by the flooding outflow from a storm, not the storm itself, not the wind damage.
So if individuals don't have that specific flood insurance, they would not be covered?
Right. And we see that in a lot of cases after the big storms, especially that have come through the state or through our neighboring states. You know, people have damage done by the flooding or the water effect more than the windstorm effect. So, and if they don't have a flood policy or a flood endorsement on that homeowner's policy, then they're going to be stuck without coverage.
So let's talk about the coverage. Somebody goes into the hurricane season thinking that they have adequate coverage. but then they have damage to their roof or the exterior of their home that's not due to flooding. What are some of the things that you see that maybe a reason a claim isn't paid or not paid to the amount necessary?
Well, typically, if you're underinsured, that can't be fixed after the claim. So that's something you need to review your policy on a regular basis to make sure that your policy is up to the level to replace the damage to your house. That's a problem if you wait until after the claim. But the other thing is to respond immediately to claims directly to your insurance carrier. A lot of people think they can wait and say, hey, I'll see what happens. As soon as you respond to that claim, that puts the insurance carrier on the hook to make sure you're put back to the policy limits of coverage. So yeah, I encourage everybody, whenever you have a claim, call it in immediately to your insurance agent, your insurance carrier, and get the process started. Because that's the misstep a lot of people make. They wait, then time goes by, and things start to happen in the process.
Further damage, more
Further
things.
damage, the claims might get backed up at the company, you're not in line as soon, and then they can't get to you as fast, et cetera, et cetera.
So we often talk to our residents about needing insurance, and there's sometimes a misconception that FEMA will repair everybody's home and FEMA will solve all the problems, and people often say, we're waiting for FEMA. What would you say to somebody that says, I don't need insurance coverage, FEMA will take care of it?
Well, the FEMA program is designed to only pick up emergency disaster coverage, which is a small amount. And typically the coverage they end up getting through FEMA is in the form of an SBA loan. So you're going to have to pay the money back sometime. So don't wait for the FEMA line to line up. FEMA will give emergency assistance only. It's usually in a small amount. And it's usually something you have to apply, wait in line for. I would rather have people have an insurance policy that's going to pay them for the full value or at least most of the damage, and then file that claim, pay their appropriate deductible, and get paid back wholly.
So what would you recommend that some of our residents do today to be prepared for the next hurricane season?
They should look at upgrading their roof. They should look at getting all the wind mitigation discounts and credits they can by adding things that a lot of people don't know about. Secondary water resistance on a roof can cost a little bit more on a new roof, but it provides a huge discount on your insurance. Also, opening protection. Make sure that all the openings in your house are up to the new code, and that can provide a huge discount for you as well.
No, that's great information to share with our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us today, Robert.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Storm Watch. I'm Mary Blakeney, coming to you from the Palm Beach County Emergency Operations Center.